In the heart of Austin, Texas, where the vibrant pulse of South Congress hums with life, Isabella, a 30-year-old software engineer, thought she had crafted the perfect home, with a six-figure salary topping $140 a year. She didn't just buy a 3-bedroom house for herself, she built a sanctuary for her retired parents. David, 62, and Margaret, 59, who left the quiet suburbs of El Paso to be closer to their only daughter. Gratitude fueled her decision. Her parents had sacrificed so much to raise her. And now, covering the mortgage, utilities, groceries, and every bill felt like a small way to repay them. The house wasn't a mansion, but it was hers, a cozy backyard, a living room big enough for family dinners, and spaces carved out for her life. Isabella claimed the master bedroom, its soft golden light her refuge. The second room became her home office, a sleek setup with dual monitors, an ergonomic chair, and a bookshelf holding machine learning texts. Her quiet corner in a busy world. The third room, a guest space with a fold-out bed and wooden wardrobe, waited patiently for rare visitors. At first, everything was idyllic. Isabella worked remotely. Her parents tended the garden or watched classic films, and the house buzzed with warmth. This place feels like a 5-star resort. David chuckled on their first day. Isabella laughed, unaware that those words would soon twist into something far less charming. Trouble crept in on a lazy Sunday afternoon. Margaret knocked on the office door, a mug of chamomile tea in hand, her face a mix of hesitation and purpose. "Sweetie, I need to talk to you about Emma," she said, referring to Isabella's younger sister, 5 months pregnant and struggling in Denver. Emma's husband, Ryan, had been laid off, and their future looked shaky. "I was thinking, maybe they could stay here for a bit. Just until Ryan finds work." Isabella's grip tightened on her own mug, a flicker of unease sparking in her chest. "Stay where? The guest room?" she asked, her voice steady but sharp. Margaret's smile faltered. "Well, yes, or, if you're okay with it, we could rearrange things a little." Isabella's heart skipped. "Mom, this is my house. You can't just decide something like that without asking me." Margaret paused, her eyes searching. "I just thought, we're family. You know, you'd understand." The word family hung heavy, stirring a mix of sympathy, frustration, and a quiet dread in Isabella's gut. 2 days later, that dread became reality. Isabella pushed open the front door after a long workday and froze. Suitcases cluttered the entryway, a shiny new stroller parked in the middle of the living room like it owned the place. Ryan sprawled on the couch, munching chips, while Emma chatted loudly with Margaret in the kitchen, their laughter echoing as if they'd lived there for years. Margaret turned, her face lighting up. "You're home. Emma got here this morning. I was going to tell you tonight." Isabella forced a tight smile, her throat dry. Without a word, she climbed the stairs, shut her bedroom door, and leaned against it. It felt like someone had walked into her home, her life, without so much as a knock. From that moment, the house she'd built began to feel like someone else's. Emma and Ryan settled in with alarming ease, their presence reshaping the space Isabella had so carefully curated. Ryan commandeered the living room TV, its volume blaring through the house at all hours. Emma took over the kitchen, her video calls with friends booming over speakerphone, filling every corner with noise. The fridge, stocked with groceries Isabella bought, was raided daily. Her carefully planned meals vanished, replaced by unfamiliar items like artisanal juice and gluten-free bread. One evening, Isabella tried to address it gently. "Mom, I think Emma and Ryan should chip in for groceries. I can't keep covering everything," she said, her voice calm but firm. Margaret's response was a single sentence that cut deep. "They're going through a rough patch." "Isabella, it's not like you're struggling." The words landed like a slap, drawing a sharp line between helping and being taken for granted. The tension escalated one Saturday night when Emma knocked on Isabella's door. She stood in the hallway, hands resting on her pregnant belly, her eyes flickering with unease. "I know this is your house," she began, "but would you mind letting Ryan and me have the master bedroom for a while? You could sleep in the office. The baby's coming soon, and we need more space." Isabella's breath caught, each word like a shard of ice. The master bedroom was her sanctuary. The one place she could retreat to. And now Emma wanted it. Emma, you're crossing a line, Isabella said, her voice trembling with restrained anger. She expected an apology, but instead, Emma doubled down in the days that followed, dropping pointed comments like breadcrumbs. Your room's so spacious. It'd be perfect for a crib, she'd say at dinner. Or, that big bathtub in there would make bathing the baby so easy. Isabella looked to Margaret for support. But her mother only smiled, added salad to Emma's plate, and changed the subject. The breaking point came on a Monday. After a grueling day of client meetings, Isabella returned home to an eerie quiet, hallway lights dim, the TV unusually soft. As she climbed the stairs, her heart stopped. One of her small dressers sat in the hallway, out of place, pulse racing. She rushed to her bedroom door, her hand shaking as she turned the knob. It wasn't locked. She pushed it open and stood frozen. Her bedding was gone. A newborn crib dominated the room. Ultrasound photos taped to the wall. Her vanity shoved into a corner. Her closet gaped open, clothes strewn or missing. And there, on what used to be her bed, sat Emma, calmly folding baby towels. Hey, you're back, Emma said, her tone casual, as if she hadn't dismantled Isabella's world. Mom said we could move in here. It's just easier for the baby. You can use the office. I started moving your stuff. Isabella's throat tightened, words failing her. She turned and stormed downstairs to the kitchen, where Margaret stirred a pot of soup, oblivious to the chaos she'd enabled. Mom, you let Emma into my room without asking me? Isabella's voice was low, barely containing her fury. Margaret flinched, setting the spoon down. I meant to tell you. But you were busy today. I just thought, with Emma pregnant, they needed the space more. Isabella's fists clenched, betrayal burning through her. This is my house, Mom. Every dollar spent here comes from me. If everyone keeps acting like I don't exist, I won't stay quiet anymore. Margaret looked away, her face uneasy. You don't have to make a scene. We're family. But to Isabella, family no longer felt like a bond, it felt like a weight, pulling her under. The mother who once held her through every fall now stood on the side of the person who'd invaded her space. Her peace, her home. That night, Isabella slept in her office. On Noun 1. Thin mattress. A mattress that is not very thick mattress. A large thick pad filled with resilient material and often incorporating coiled springs. Used as a bed or part of a bed based on WordNet 3.0. Farlex Clipart Collection. Copyright 2003 to 2012 Princeton University. Farlex Inc. A thin mattress thrown on the floor. Her beloved ergonomic chair sat shoved in a corner. Discarded like her boundaries. She didn't sleep, not from discomfort, but from the slow, searing rage building inside her. In the silence, one truth crystallized. Unclear boundaries were an invitation for violation. And her silence would no longer be mistaken for consent. The air in Isabella's South Congress home felt different the morning after Emma and Ryan left. The Austin sun filtered through the blinds, casting soft stripes across the living room, now free of scattered chip bags and the incessant hum of the TV. At 30, with her $140 a year software engineering job, Isabella had built this 3-bedroom haven not just for herself but for her retired parents. David, 62, and Margaret, 59. Who'd traded El Paso's quiet suburbs for the city's energy. She'd paid every bill, mortgage, utilities, groceries, out of love and gratitude for their sacrifices. But the past 3 months had turned her sanctuary into a battleground, where her kindness was mistaken for weakness. Now, with Emma and Ryan gone, the silence was both a relief and a challenge. Could she rebuild the family she'd fought so hard to protect? Or had the cost of her stand been too high? Emma and Ryan's departure was swift and unceremonious. At exactly 4:12 p.m., their SUV pulled out of the driveway, tires crunching on the gravel. Isabella stood in the kitchen, a mug of cold coffee in hand, watching through the window. She'd given them 24 hours to leave after delivering the eviction notices. Her voice steady despite the knot in her chest. There were no tearful goodbyes, no lingering glances. Emma, her face flushed and eyes swollen. Hadn't said a word. Ryan, still clutching half a sandwich when she'd confronted him, muttered something under his breath as he loaded their bags. The stroller, the suitcases, the chaos they'd brought, it all vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Isabella didn't feel triumph, only a quiet resolve. She'd drawn a line, and they'd crossed it one too many times. The house felt like it could breathe again. No more speakerphone calls echoing from the kitchen. No more crumbs on the couch. The fridge held her groceries, almond milk, fresh chicken, none of the artisanal nonsense Emma had stocked. But the victory was bittersweet. Isabella's parents, David and Margaret, remained, and the tension lingered like a guest who'd overstayed. That evening, Isabella retreated to her reclaimed master bedroom, the space she'd fought to take back. She smoothed the familiar bedding, repositioned her old photo frame on the vanity, a snapshot of her at 10. Grinning beside a Christmas tree. The golden light from her lamp cast a warm glow. And for the first time in weeks, she exhaled. But peace was fragile, and she knew it. Around 10 p.m., a soft knock broke the silence. "It's not locked," Isabella called, her voice calm but guarded. Margaret stepped in, clutching a knitted shawl, her face etched with exhaustion, not from age, but from the weight of what had unfolded. She sat on the edge of the bed, silent for a long moment, as if searching for words that wouldn't break. "Are you still angry with me?" she asked. Her voice raspy. Isabella set down her tea, meeting her mother's eyes. "Not angry, Mom. Disappointed." Margaret nodded, staring at the floor. "I thought helping Emma was the right thing. But I didn't see how it hurt you. I forgot that protecting one child could mean neglecting another." Her words were slow, heavy with realization. Isabella stayed quiet, letting the confession settle. "I'm sorry," Margaret continued, "for not standing by you. For letting you carry this house alone while we treated you like you didn't matter." The apology was a start. But Isabella needed more than words. "Mom, I bought this house so you and Dad could be safe. So we could be a family. But if being family means I'm just a wallet, a doormat, then I'd rather live alone." Her voice was firm, not cruel, but unyielding. Margaret's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. "From now on, I won't let that happen," she said softly. "No one will make decisions for you. I promise." Isabella nodded, searching her mother's face for sincerity. For the first time in months, she saw the woman who'd held her through childhood scrapes, not the one who'd stood by as her space was invaded. "We can live together," Isabella said, "but there have to be rules. Boundaries. Respect." "My silence isn't agreement anymore," Margaret agreed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll talk to your father. We'll do better." The next morning, a small gesture nearly brought a smile to Isabella's face. On the dining table, in David's messy scrawl, was a note. "Morning, kiddo. Pancakes in the kitchen, orange juice in the fridge. Love, Dad." No grand speech, no excuses, just a quiet step toward change. Isabella poured a glass of juice, the familiar tang grounding her. She didn't want to lose her parents, but she'd never again let them, or anyone, erase her in her own home. The lessons of those months were hard-won. Isabella had learned that kindness without boundaries was an open door to exploitation. Even from those she loved most. Emma and Ryan's entitlement, Margaret's initial blindness, David's passive silence, they'd all chipped away at her sense of self. But standing up, drafting those eviction notices, facing down her pregnant sister and her own mother, had taught her something deeper. Family isn't a free pass to hurt without consequence. It thrives on fairness, on respect, on lines clearly drawn and fiercely guarded. Protecting herself wasn't selfish, it was survival. The only way to preserve her dignity. A week later, Margaret brought an old photo album to Isabella's room. They sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through memories. Isabella in a red t-shirt, giggling in Margaret's lap. David teaching her to ride a bike under the Texas sun. Emma and Isabella at Christmas, their grins wide beside a paper tree. They didn't talk much, but Margaret's careful touch on each page, her quiet reverence for the past, spoke volumes. "I don't want to lose this family," Isabella said softly. I just want a home where no one has to sacrifice their self-respect to belong. Margaret squeezed her hand. From now on, no one will. I promise. The future was uncertain. Emma might never reach out. Her silence a wound that could linger. Ryan might forever paint Isabella as the villain. The sister who, kicked out, a pregnant woman. Maybe one day they'd sit down. 3 people who'd hurt each other. And find understanding. But Isabella no longer needed their approval. She'd set her boundaries, not to build walls, but to carve out space for kindness to breathe. Family, she realized, isn't a place where pain goes unanswered. It's a promise to heal. Or at least to never deepen the wounds. That night, Isabella turned off her lamp, set her phone down without checking for messages, and lay still in the dark. The house was quiet, not with tension, but with possibility. She'd faced the hardest thing, standing up to the people she loved most, and she'd do it again if she had to. Freedom, she understood now, doesn't come from walking away. It begins when you dare to stay and say, enough. Her story isn't just a family saga. It's a testament to the power of boundaries. Kindness doesn't mean surrender, and love doesn't mean silence. Isabella's fight wasn't about winning, it was about refusing to be erased. What do you think of her choice? Would you have drawn the line sooner? Or found another way to navigate the chaos? Share your thoughts below, and stay tuned for more stories of resilience, family, and the courage to claim your space.